Today I'm showing you how to deep clean and oil your Brother 1034D Serger. So before you get started, you want to make sure that you unplug the machine from the power cord. Take off anything that doesn't need to be on the machine while you're cleaning, so any kind of extras. And then we're going to snip the thread and make sure that we remove all the thread cones. Make sure to lower the little thread guide stand here, this little T-bar. This thing's a little fragile. I've had a couple snap and break on me, so make sure that this is down for the entire process of cleaning. To deep clean this machine, you'll need the following items. You'll need a mini vac, machine oil, rubbing alcohol, tape. It's good to have two kinds of screws, so you want the Phillips crosshead and both the flathead as well. I like having both the mini ones and an actual full-size screwdriver as well. So you'll want a couple different magnet tools. So these are going to help with keeping certain things in place. If you have one that has a light on it, even better. I have both of these linked in my Amazon store. You're going to want a few different brushes. I like to use old makeup brushes, and then these came with the mini vac, so these are some extra cleaning brushes to use too. You can even use a toothbrush, an old one if you want. A couple different kinds of tweezers. These are from my Cricut machine. I really like using these for threading the machines, but they also help with getting a bunch of the chunky like dust bunnies out of the machine as well. Some cotton swabs, a little old pill container or some kind of container that will keep old needles and serger blades in. It's a nice way to keep these safely away and contained. You're going to need the machine needles to replace whichever needles you have in your machine. And then I have these lint-free nail wipes. I use them to clean out the tension discs, and these come in handy when you're cleaning the inside with alcohol. The Allen wrench is included in your toolkit when you buy your Brother 1034D Serger. This will help you with removing and changing out the machine needles. So these will be your items that you'll need to make sure that you can deep clean the machine thoroughly. You'll also want some towels. I just have these two towels. I have like a small and a large size towel just to have as lining, because you're going to have fallout from the machine while you're cleaning it. And I just think it's handy to have to protect the table that you're working on as well. Doing a simple cleaning of your machine is a good habit to have, but for deep cleaning like this, I think just a few times a year is enough. I do a very high volume of sewing since I have my own handmade brand, but if you're not sewing as much as I am, just do this maybe once a year. I haven't done this at all in the past decade, so I'm very ashamed to admit that, but it's okay. We're going to do it now, and we're going to do it together. That's all that matters. So first things, take out the little caddy here. You want to actually pick up your machine and lay it flat like this on its back. And you can already see there's like a lot of gunked up stuff right here. It's not pretty. We're going to first remove the front cover. So make sure you have the Phillips head, which is like the cross head screwdriver tip. So the reason why I love using this kind of screwdriver is that it has a magnetic tip, so it actually keeps your screw from dropping the second you're done unscrewing it. I highly recommend using these, especially for when you're deep cleaning these machines. So you remove these, and you're going to pop the front cover off like this. Now this is where the tape comes in handy. So throughout this whole tutorial, you're going to want to make sure that you tape the screws onto the actual hole that it belongs to. This is going to save you a lot of time from getting confused. So just like that, go ahead and tape the screws on. It's up to you. You can use paper towels, you can use a brush. I like using these dry floor sweeper cloth refills. This is like the Target Up and Up brand, but whichever brand you want to use, these are very useful, especially with grabbing all the dust and lint from all the little crevices. Take some Q-tips, get in all those little tight corners. Take your mini vac. And so this is where you can take a little lint-free wipe, get some alcohol on it, and go ahead and give it a quick wipe over. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff on the outside too. Alright, so once you got the front cover done, you can set that aside. Next, we're going to remove these 4 screws right here. Alright, and again, make sure that you tape these screws down. And when you turn it over, it's going to look really messy. Wow, that looks gross. Okay, so we're going to clean this all out. So you want to wipe it all out, wipe it down with alcohol just to get any of the oil that you see here that's built up over time. Make sure the screws are nice and secure. Set that aside. Look at all this gross stuff. All this here, everything that you see, we're gonna clean everything. This is where tweezers and Q-tips are gonna come in handy. Oh no, oh no. It is very satisfying to remove all this gunk here. I sewed a lot of black velvet on this machine, and you can tell by the crusty buildup here. So basically wherever you see the buildup, clean it. And there will be a lot to clean. If you're doing a lot of sewing like me, this is all built up. All right, so let's do a couple rounds of vacuuming. And I actually left some of my thread in here, so apologies. Let me just pull that out. There is stuff everywhere. Once we've kind of done like a first round of cleaning, it should look something like this. And then once you stand up the machine, make sure that all your tension discs are set to 0. And you'll take a lint-free wipe with some alcohol on it. Make sure you get a good amount. And run the wipe in between the actual tension discs. And it's good to kind of clean that out because you get a lot of lint and dust stuck in here. And it's kind of like flossing. See how you get some built up lint in there? This is important to do. So you want to make sure that you make a habit of doing this just so your machine works well for whenever you're sewing. So you can see that there's a lot of gunk up in here. All right, just do a quick full round. All right, set them back to 0. So next, we're going to remove both the needles. So use that Allen wrench and remove both the needles. Make sure you hold the needles together as you remove them. And you're going to put the Allen wrench into the little hole right here above the needles. And then turn to your left counterclockwise and remove them. Just be careful. This is where the magnet tool will come in handy. Keeps it in place while you're removing them. Okay. So remove them like here, put them into the pill container. I like to put them in a pill container, that way it keeps them safe because we're putting new needles onto them. Next, we're going to remove the presser foot. You can just click the little latch behind the needles and that will release the presser foot. We'll clean this later before we reattach it after we're done cleaning. Next, we remove the stitch finger. Just press a little latch right here and the stitch finger should pop right out easily like that. And again, we'll clean these both before we reattach them later on. Set these aside and we'll clean them off and reattach them towards the end of the cleaning process. So the Serger blades have 2 parts. There's an upper blade and a lower blade. You're going to remove the upper blade first. So with the smaller Phillips head screwdriver, the crosshead one, go ahead and remove the screw. Use your magnet tool if you have to kind of hold the blade steady while you're unscrewing it. Okay, so the magnet tool is nice because it'll keep your upper blade nice and secure while you remove the screw. And now carefully place that aside. We'll clean that later. Now we're going to remove the lower blade right here. Use the magnet tool to hold it steady so you don't lose it. And it protects yourself from getting potentially cut because that blade is really sharp. Okay, so again, use the magnet tool while you remove it. Make sure you keep the screw inside. Set that aside. We'll clean that later. And if you want, you can just do a quick wipe down of where the blade was. You're going to have a lot of buildup right there too. It's so close to where fabric gets cut while you're serging. Next, needle plate here. This is where the mini flathead screwdriver comes in handy. Just take that, put it into the screw right here, and it only has 1 screw you have to remove. And again, when you remove it, take some tape and secure that screw like that. And we're going to clean this later, don't worry. Set that aside. Now we're going to remove the front cover. Remove the thread guides first. And now make sure that you keep these aside together because you're going to want to make sure that the thread guide that has 2 dots is on the right side and the 1 dot thread guide is on the left when you screw it back on. So if you need to, you can tape the screw back on here so we don't lose it. And then set that aside. We'll clean it later before we reattach it. And then remove the one that's right next to it, which is securing the front cover. Again, I love having a magnet tip screwdriver here. Now the good thing is this screw and the 2 that are back here that we're about to remove next, they're all identical, so it's okay if you mix them up. Then you take the serger, turn it around, right above where the little handle is, remove those next. All 3 of those screws are identical. Keep those aside together. Those are going to be the main 3 screws that we put back on later. So now you can grab this and turn it back around to face you. You're going to see that there's like 2 little latches right here. This one, and there's like one right here. You're going to take this entire front cover, pop it up, and then towards you. So we're going to kind of rock it a little bit back and forth to loosen it. Okay, so again, you're going to hear that click, pull up, and towards you. And you're going to make sure that you don't knock into these 2 little ridges right here. Okay, that's what it should look like. And then you're going to want to clean all the inside. It's going to look pretty messy. So just scrub the inside with like an alcohol wipe and a vacuum. I think the best time to clean these is like just dedicate like a weekend day, like a Saturday or a Sunday. Stream one of your favorite movies in the background or like an audiobook and just zone out. Have a little one-on-one time with your machine. It'll look like this. Not bad. Again, give it like a wet and a dry clean with alcohol, mini vac, and some wipes. Now we're going to set that aside. So now that we have taken the front cover off, you're going to see a lot of buildup everywhere. And everywhere that moves, you're going to oil. So basically, right on the inside here, where the wheel is turning, everything in between these gears, you're going to oil. You're going to oil above the needle here, where metal is touching metal and they're kind of rubbing up against each other. Just oil those. Oil every spot you can. 1 or 2 drops of oil is fine. So anywhere that moves, here, here, just think of them as like joints. Everywhere where metal on metal is joining, that's where you want to add oil. So there's actually a lot of dust right here that I want to kind of vacuum up before I move further. There's some needle dust skunked up. Let's get all this. Ew. This is very satisfying. Look at that. That was all stuck under my needle plate. So next, we're going to do a little wipe down here. So this is going to take a while. Take your time at this step. There's a lot of spots to clean and oil here. You're going to have some oil buildup on these lower gears. We're going to oil right in here and in between these gears. Okay. There's a spot right here. See that little hole right there? Right in here, you want to add a little oil. Because you see how it goes up and down? So again, anything that is moving, you're going to want to oil. So here, here, right in here. See how there's buildup on the actual guide right here? Give it a quick wipe. Just wipe everything down because there is just buildup. You see that? Ugh, gross. So now after you're done oiling all the insides, it should sound like it's already running nice and quiet and smooth. That's the sound that we want. Give it just another wipe down here. Ugh, there's like stuff everywhere. It's amazing where all the dust can start to cake up. I say give it one more go with the vacuum. next, we're going to take this whole side part out. So the next step is, there's a few screws we have to remove. First, we're going to remove this part. That's easy. And look how dirty that is. Ooh, so clean that out with the brush. All right, that looks better than before. Set that aside. Now you see all this built up dust right here. It looks pretty scary. So let's do like a quick wipe down. So now there's going to be a few screws you have to remove at this step. So there's one right here. See right there. And then remove like that. And again, pop that screw back in and tape it like that. Keep that aside. Next, we're going to take this little screw that's in here out. And you can use the flathead or Phillips for that. Okay, keep that in there for now. Tape that so it doesn't get lost. Because it's like, it's weird because this piece, and then this little side piece, they all have to come out kind of at the same time. And then there's one back here. Loosen this one up. Looks like that. And then there's this little one that you have to remove right here. Remove that one. Okay. So again, keep that little guy trapped inside there with tape. We don't want to lose that. It's a little dirty. Give that a quick clean. Set that aside. Make sure you tape the screw into that. You don't want to lose that. Set it aside. Now we can remove this side piece. Again, make sure that's taped before you remove anything. This is going to go on the back. And make sure this one's nice and loose. This is the last one you want to remove before anything else comes out. Okay. And see how you kind of have both pieces come out together? Tape that before you lose it. Trap that thing. And then have that taped up. Have this taped up. Ooh, you can see stuff coming out already. And then you're going to want to clean both of these parts out. It's not too bad. Give it a quick clean. This one's not too bad. I'm fine if it looks just like that. You're doing the best you can. Set that aside. This one, same thing. Give it a quick brush. This one isn't too bad. Set that aside, make sure it's taped. And then you can take that screw that you removed earlier, tape that in the back of here while you clean everything else up. Okay, like that. Now you see why the tape comes in handy. It keeps everything nice and secure. Now the inside of this looks pretty gross. You can see some really big chunks up in this one. Ooh, this is so nasty. Got some big meaty pieces in here. All right, get that mini vac. And you're gonna find that there are so many little crevices that dust can get into. It's amazing. Feels kind of like surgery. Get Q-tips. You just see things popping out. So again, you don't have to do this every day or even every month. I think just once every few months. But if you don't sew that much, you know, once a year is fine. I just want to make sure that your machine's running smoothly. I was pushing this off for a very long time because there aren't too many detailed tutorials on how to deep clean these machines online right now. I don't know why. After cleaning my 3 other Brother 1034D Sergers, I figured, you know what, let me just share how I figured out how to do these. And this way everyone who has this machine that's very popular can do their deep cleaning all on their own too. And there's actually a few more gears you want to oil when you have this part open. So I'm going to oil right here. Oh yeah, that looks a lot nicer. Anything that is metal on metal. So 1 or 2 drops. Everywhere you see movement, put oil there. So you're pretty much done with all the internal deep cleaning part. I'm not worried about taking the back panel or the light cover off. I think this is the bulk of where you want to make sure that you're cleaning and deep cleaning annually at least. I think this is enough. I feel like any other disassembling really isn't necessary unless you have like actual machine problems, like functioning problems. So now that you've done this, you've pretty much done a really good job of deep cleaning it. And you want to kind of make this a habit. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it and it'll feel quicker. After my first machine, I thought it would take me forever, but I have 4 of these Sergers and it got easier as I kept doing it. So, you know, the more practice you get, it'll be easier. So now that we're done with the deep cleaning and oiling, it's time to put this back together. So just think of what we just disassembled. We're going to do it in the reverse order. So now you're going to take the side panels, get all the pieces together. All right, so remember, all this stuff was kind of all together when we took it off. First part you want to put on is the largest part. Remove that back screw like that. So take that one out first. Pop this in like that. Okay. And then next we're going to put this piece in. Remove the tape. You want to loosely attach this part after you attach the largest side panel. And then you're going to want to put this little corner piece back on. Take the screw and make sure that part's in. Take this little corner piece. Okay. Pop that on. Make sure that's clipped in. Now you can tighten up this part and take this little piece of tape out, and then you want to screw that back screw in. So I think the side panel might be like the hardest part to get back in because you have to get all 3 parts like properly lined up. All right, so screw that in. And then the last step will be putting this back in. Pop that on. Make sure that's nice and secure. Yep, looks good. I'm going to put this cover back on. Everything fits back to normal. Now it's time to attach the front cover. So the way that we had taken it off originally was we pulled it up and then out. So now we got to put it back in, down. So now we're going to take the front piece. Again, make sure it's wrapped behind these 2 little guides right here that are sticking out. Just kind of let it naturally clip back into place. And you'll hear everything kind of clip back in. Let it get settled. So now we're going to add that screw to the bottom. Those main 3 screws that we said to keep together, like this. Take the one, like that. And then we're going to clean off the 2 thread guides. Just give them a nice wipe down. And again, when you attach it, you want the one with the double dots, the 2 dots on the right, and then the 1 dot on the left, and that piece is going to be on top of the thread guide with 2 dots. So just like the way when you removed it, it should be like this. 1 dot on top of the 2 dot. Take the screw, and we're going to just attach it back. And then before you screw it tight, make sure that you space it out a little bit. Like that. So they're about 1/4 inch apart at the top. And that's how it should look. So now that that's on, now we can attach the 2 back screws. Okay. Now that's done, get those ready, and we're going to give them all a little wipe down before we reattach them. Remove the tape. It should look like that. There's a little ridge. See that little ridge right here? You want that under this part. And then we'll snap right in place. And then we'll add the screw. And then next, we're going to add the needle plate. Again, press the little latch behind and then lower the needle so it kind of clips into place. Like that. And you should be able to lift it up and down to make sure this is secure. Okay. And then next, we're going to be adding back the serger blades. I don't have to replace these. They're still pretty new and they're not having any issues with cutting. So I'm just putting the same ones back in. But again, if you were putting new ones in, this would be when you're putting new blades in. And you're going to put the lower blade in first. Carefully wipe this down if you're keeping the same blades like I am. Take the screw. Now, you have to see the difference between the lower and the upper blade. There's no washer, so there's only a washer around the upper blade. Keep that in mind. Place it where it belongs, in the little ridge. And it'll tuck right back into the spot that it was originally. You can use a long screwdriver, it helps. And the way that you place it is to make sure that the blade is level with the surface here. So it should be flush with the actual needle plate beneath it. You don't want it sticking up higher than where the needle plate is. And then we're going to put the upper blade on. And that goes above it. And then make sure that it runs smoothly, which it is. Give it an extra little tightening. All right, and then we're going to replace the needles. So I'm going to put new needles on this one. I use this machine for more like medium to heavyweight fabric. So I just bought some new needles. So for this one, I'm using ballpoint because I'm only using stretch knits like my velvets for this machine. So I'll be using two 90-14 needles for this with ballpoint. And you want to make sure that the flat back of the needles are facing the back of the machine. So you're going to notice that there's like a flat and curved side. Both flat sides that have like the numbers and the brand on it should be facing the back. So you're going to hold them next to each other. And with this serger, the left needle is always higher than the right. Keep that in mind. So when you put the needles back in, the left will be a little higher than the right one. So you're going to carefully do this, push them both up into the little chamber where they belong, and then once they stop, that's when you can use your Allen wrench and screw them back in. The last step is you're going to lay it on its back like this. Do a little last minute check. Now we're going to add the bottom. And again, like I said, before you attach this, you want to give it one more wipe down before we do like a final attachment. And because you have the tape over the screws, you'll know exactly where to put them. And then slowly remove the tape. And then the final step will be attaching the front cover. So you're going to take this, you can remove the tape now. Take the screws out. So this little metal part here is obviously like shifts when you're like opening it and closing it. Line it up and tuck in the cover behind this little corner pad and then push. See how you're not moving the cover, but you're just pushing the metal part over? Move it to the side to line up the two holes, and then you want to add the screws. Once you secure the one screw, it'll make the other side a lot easier to add the screw too. Let's get the second one in. And now the final step is you're gonna add the stitch finger back in before you try to run the machine. So you're gonna press this little latch right here. See this little latch? Press that down and then pop this in like that. Turn the wheel a couple times. It should work fine. Close the door. Plug the power cord back in. Turn your machine on. And it sounds perfect. You just did a deep cleaning and oiling of your Brother 1034D machine. This is my favorite serger to use for apparel making, and I can't recommend it enough. I have 4 of these for a reason. They've been amazing to use with my handmade brand for over 10 plus years. So now you can deep clean these by yourself. Be proud of yourself. This is major. And I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And I can't wait to share more easy to follow sewing tutorials. Thanks for watching.